the nation army couldn't hold me back.
Welcome to the Heat versus the World podcast. And now, stand up and make some noise for your host, Joel Jacob.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast. As always, I'm joined by my guy, Kay, and we had Alex with us for a quick second. Hopefully, he can pull up real soon. But we got a very special episode of Heat vs. the World for you guys. We are officially in All-Star Weekend, and I'm feeling good, man, because I got something these last two games that I've been saying I've been wanting for quite some time, and that is some statement wins, bro. Like, let's kind of get into this because we go into Milwaukee and we stomp on their necks, K. We stomp on their necks and we stomp them like they some ugly roaches, bro. I was feeling so good after that game. And some people are going to say, oh, well, you know, Milwaukee, they was coming off of a back-to-back against Denver. I don't care because y'all don't let another team like that, especially when they missing their star player, come into y'all home court like that and do y'all this type of dirty, bro. Bam was looking real good. This dude went and dunked on Giannis, bro. It might as well be a rite of passage for this team because we saw Jimmy do something similar to that, man, back when he dropped 56 on their heads last year. And now Bam joining in on this too. So I'm real happy about that. I feel bad for Dame, though. My condolences to him because you can tell he don't want to be in that hellhole of a city. I understand, man. We gonna get you through that, all right? Like, my prayers are always gonna be with you, bro. But, you know, yeah, pray for Dame, man. But, yeah, so that's all going on. Then you got the fact they're dealing with Doc Rivers and all that other nonsense. And, by the way, they lost to Memphis last night, just to bring that up, too. So it's been kind of an interesting development going on over there. And then this game against Philly, man. And people going to talk about Joel Embiid was out, blah, blah, blah. We were out Jimmy, Terry Rozier, and Josh Richardson. All right. I don't want to hear it with that either. We went in there and we handled business, even when they still had an all-star on their team like Tyrese Maxey. And I do got to say, bro, the performances I've seen these past couple of games have been great, especially from my guy, Duncan Robinson. And I need to say this on the pod right now because I've been tweeting it throughout these past couple of days. He needs to be in the starting lineup. Okay, and we might get into it in this pod, you know, but I won't quickly mention who he should replace in the lineup. If y'all seen the past few episodes, y'all probably have an idea who, but put him in the starting lineup. I don't know why we still haven't had this legit convo, but whenever we talk about this on the pod, everyone want to be like, oh, well, you know what? Nah, man, we can't do that. The team is supposed to have a certain someone in the starting lineup instead, when really we just be bowling out when Duncan is our starting shooting guard, all right? The rest of the starting lineup, though, y'all can go ahead and talk that other stuff out, but Duncan Robinson needs to be very soon a regular face we see in that starting five graphic whenever the Miami Heat post that starting lineup. But I've been talking too much now. Kay, I want to know how you feel now that we got these statement wins, bro. I'm so emotional right now. We actually got some statement wins.
It's all good, man. I mean, I understand. I just pretty much would echo everything that you said. From being able to, you know, get wins against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, of all things, you know what I mean? And E. Reed noted it, you know, for most of the end of that game, how a lot of empty Bucks fans, a lot of empty seats were there to witness the Miami Heat continue to pile on a Bucks team that, you know, they had pretty much beat from wire to wire. When you look at that game, Bam with a triple-double, finishing with 16, 12, and 11. You look at other key contributions from a guy like Jovic, Nikola, Frico, Nico, 24, 7 rebounds, 3 dimes. Duncan, of course, as you mentioned, giving you 23, 5, and 3. Tyler Hero giving you a nice, efficient-esque, you know, 7 of 16, 3 of 8 from the field. It isn't quite 50%, but near 40 on some occasions, and you like his decision-making. That's why I said an efficient-esque. Not quite efficient, but efficient in the way it looked and worked for his team. And I'll point to a stat that I don't like, but everybody seems to want to mention. Everybody's plus minus was all of the starters plus minus was a plus. You look at Tyler Hero, a plus 15 that night, which just speaks to the decision making. I never said the numbers are the end all be all, because I'm not going to sit here and act like I use them when they work for me and when they don't. I'm just speaking towards the fact that they do point to a certain level of efficiency, even though they won't always specifically tell the story that some will make them tell. So just looking at everybody performing, and like I said, especially that guy you mentioned, Duncan Robinson, who's been on a tear as of the last couple of games, something that, I mean, us here, the Heat versus the, World Network, me specifically, I'm just going to toot my own horn, pat myself on the back, congratulate me. I think I've been calling for this for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And my thing was, you could see Duncan Robinson evolving. And yeah, he did have that poor, like the worst shooting season ever, it seems like 2 years ago for him, especially after he got the deal. Shoot, man. And you can see his game growing. I feel like he just needed this opportunity of a heavy dose of minutes. And this year is the year we were able to see him get those minutes again, because over the last couple of seasons, Max Strus has been standing in his way, who I couldn't for the life of me figure out why his rope was as long as it was. And it isn't because he's a good player and I was mad about his rope per se. I was always looking at it relative to the rope that Duncan Robinson got, because what I was saying to myself was, for as good as Max is, love what he did. Glad that he's finding a way to contribute in a good way, earn that money that he's getting out in Cleveland. At his peak, Max Strus ain't Duncan Robinson. It's not. One, they do it different ways, but it's not just about the shots made or them hitting the shots. It's about how they do it and how that impacts the team. And I think what you're seeing now play out before your very eyes is, regardless of who's on the floor, whether that be, your best player, a guy that's probably your third best player at this point, and a key guy like Josh Richardson, who's been trending upward. I mean, upward, ever so upward over the last couple of weeks for this Miami Heat team. Honestly, getting back to levels unseen since he actually left Miami the last time. I mean, without those guys, but still being able to produce enough because your scheme and your team thing is working, which is ball and man movement, which is all predicated off of Bam at that high post, the three-point line area, being able to like stand still and probe, but then Duncan Robinson being able to manipulate and bend defenses off of that. I mean, you're just looking at a situation that has been beautiful to watch. And as you mentioned, if you can't continue to find some sort of consistent version of that, then frankly, man, and I don't know what the hell to tell you. And that does probably mean keeping Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup.
Exactly. And I mean, before we got on the show, we talked about certain points that, this team could try to address as we get into the second half of the season. And we'll talk about, what type of predictions we have in mind for the Heat in a later episode before All-Star break ends. But I do want to know, though, so if we put Duncan in the starting five, obviously someone's going to have to come out. I mean, we can't have a starting six. I ain't heard nothing about a starting six yet. So who would your starting five be, kid?
I mean, it's pretty apparent. You take Tyler Hero out. I mean, and that's because, like, you still allow him. And see, I actually haven't pointed to this particular thing yet, but think about it. If you look at what Tyler Hero has done with this lineup, and I spoke to like the efficient-esque way that he's playing or whatnot, the thing you're seeing him do is the thing he could do with anybody. Like, he's not doing that because of who he's playing with. That's just him giving the ball up. Well, if you put him in a situation where all those super role players are got, and I'm going to go ahead and use this to kind of like segue and bridge two topics, including a guy like Delon right now. So take some more defensive pressure off him in that second unit. And take some pressure off him from a ball handling perspective, or somebody to help him be a release valve when he need to just work off ball in that second unit. He can continue to be that distributor, but at a higher volume scoring clip, because you're ultimately the guy outright in that second unit. Whereas in that first unit, even if it's just Bam, like you want him equally distributing the touches with Bam. And if Duncan Robinson is in there and shooting like he's shooting, hell, you probably want Duncan getting more looks than both of them. So it's just he could do that with either unit, and that's kind of that thing I've been speaking towards the whole while. If he plays the way he wants to play anyway, he could do that with the second unit. But if he's going to play like this way would especially work with that second unit because you basically have two starting units. I mean, pretty much.
And I mean, that's the thing for the Heat because we know what Tyler's capable of doing. And I mean, I saw someone try to bring this example up earlier today, and this might be an ideal one. And I know people will look at it and try to laugh at it because these are two players in two different situations right now. But, you know, people are looking at this Klay Thompson situation with Golden State because to those who don't know, he ended up getting benched in last night's game against Utah. It was the first time since his rookie season back in 2012 he was coming off the bench. And the dude had an awesome game. Like, he had 35 points and everything. And it's because it's so much different when you're coming off of the bench, you know, with that second unit and going against, you know, I mean, what's it called? The second unit of the other squad compared to, you know, having to be a starter and potentially having to be in a role where maybe things aren't going to flourish the same compared to, you know, being in that second unit lineup. And it worked perfect.
And not to cut you off or let you get too far away. It's an important point before you continue. He just started against that second unit. Klay Thompson still played a lot of minutes. So inevitably, he was still playing a lot with the starters, still playing key minutes. He just started the game against second unit players.
Exactly. This was the same thing with 2022, Tyler. I mean, if we want to take it a step further, like he was still getting great minutes with the Heat. You know what I'm saying? He was the sixth man and everything. But yet, if you looked at his minutes, it's not like you would say, oh, well, he's clearly a bench player. You know, they barely play him. He was still getting the same minutes. And I think that's when the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Of infatuation came when putting Tyler in the starting lineup, because it's like, oh, well, if Tyler's doing this on the bench, then he must do more coming in the starting lineup. When the truth was, he was just a starter coming off of the bench, as you said, this whole time. So the way how this Klay Thompson,
I guess that is the only way you can have six starters when you are brilliant like Spo and can work it like that. To answer a question from earlier when you mentioned pulling somebody out of the starting lineup.
Exactly. So, and I think it also goes back to if Spo can have this talk with Tyler Hero, because some people are worried that this is above Spo at this point to even have this talk. I think Pat Riley trusts Spo enough to have this type of convo, because I love to talk about these types of things with other people on Twitter. And, you know, I was talking about this with Lola the other day. Shout outs to her. Hopefully we can get her on the pod again real soon. We were talking about this, and she mentioned maybe the fear with the Heat is that, you know, if you think about trading him at some point in the future, and obviously we're not going to get into that trade combos because, you know, we're past the deadline and we got a championship to win. But, you know, she mentioned, like, if you put Tyler in the bench, does that hurt his trade value? And my thing with that is, at the end of the day, we're not benching Tyler because we think he's a scrub. We're not benching Tyler because, oh, you know, he's just a terrible player. We're benching him because something you've mentioned so many times, Kay, him and Jimmy operate in the same space, and it puts us in a situation where you have to make a decision to bench one of those guys in order for this team to play better. Who are you going to bench? The guy that turns into a complete beast come playoff time? Are you going to bench him? Or are you going to bench Tyler Hero instead? You know, it kind of speaks.
So Tyler Hero isn't the guy that turns into a complete beast at playoff time? I thought Tyler was the guy. Maybe I'm sorry, my bad.
Well, hey, you know what? Now that the guy was clamping him up a couple of seasons ago, now that he doesn't have to worry about Delon Wright clamping him up again, hopefully we can see.
See, now you poo-pooing on Tyler. See, you took that opportunity. Took that opportunity to squat on Tyler's name. Wow.
You shouldn't have asked that question. Hey, you shouldn't have asked me that because, you know.
Don't blame me. I
Hey,
didn't
you
do this.
threw the lob at me like that, bro. Was I supposed to ignore it?
That's my fault now. So it's my fault
Yeah.
for being a good member of the panel. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Excuse
yes,
me for
man.
trying to bring some value to the situation.
Cause you can't do this to me, bro. Cause you know it's too tempting for me every now and then, bro. You can't. But shout outs to Tyler though. Great person, great family man. You know, shout outs to him. All love from Heat vs. the World.
As a Cowboys fan, you sound like everybody that's about to rip Dak Prescott to smithereens. Like before they rip him to smithereens, they be like, look, great guy. I mean, just a wonderful human being.
Man, bro.
Accept accountability. I mean, to a man, just a great man. But this is about talking about a man, you know, and I guess I got my little Stephen A. on at the end there, but this is about him as a quarterback. Anyway, that's how you sound talking about Tyler Hero. First thing. Second thing, I got to put it out there. I've always stood on this. What you said is 100% true, Joe. You know, that's also been my take for like the last 2 years. Even it ties together with the Duncan starting thing. The last one, you know, season and a half, 2 seasons ish, you know, give or take.
Right.
You know, I was firmly there for the last season and a quarter, but I've been thinking about it, you know, mentioning it for like the last, well, maybe Duncan should be wise at least for like the last, you know, season and a half, 2 seasons, but the whole Jimmy and Tyler operating in the same spaces thing, it takes you to a point where people think that because you're saying move Tyler out of the starting lineup, you're poo-pooing Tyler. And right. I'm just trying to make sure I'm saying it right because I say this to you all the time, but I say it with cuss words. Right. We're trying to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we're not saying that, as you said, and I'm just reiterating everything you said to make it clear. I'm not saying anything new or profound. I just gotta be slow when I say it because, as I just said, and Joe know, I cuss. But it's like what we're saying is we love his game. Mm-hmm. We just need it to work at the same time that the rest of the team's game is working. Exactly. And there's a lot of times when it's just not. And sometimes in order to do that, you got to move a guy. And you can't be afraid of what his ego going to do. And I'm not saying that they can't do it. I think I said all that to say, I don't want to trade Tyler. I want Tyler to stay around. Because I think that once Jimmy's done, Jimmy not forever. Now, I still think he can give us 2 or 3 or more of these years or whatever. That's neither here nor there. That's something to also talk about later. But after that, it's Tyler Hero, it's Bam, it's Nikoliovic, it's Jaime Jaquez, it's Dish. You know what I'm saying? So, yep. I mean, we just got to figure out how to win a title now because we can. And then we can still win titles later because you should be able to. Because Tyler Hero is good enough to be a big part of a title-winning team. It's just that when you think about this team, his best role for us right now is probably the same role as Malik Monk. Right. You come off the bench and get buckets and then play the heavy dose of minutes. Like you're going to play a star's allotment of minutes. You just going to start off doing it, as you said, Joe, like Klay Thompson now, like Malik Monk. Exactly. Or like him in the 2020-21 season.
Mm-hmm. Like, and that's the thing because, you know, it's kind of like a puzzle, bro. I think that's the only type of analogy I can come up with where, you know, the pieces look good, but like at the end of the day, it's all got to match. You know what I'm saying? Because you could put, if you feel like one piece work here, but the other piece you want to put next to it because you think it looked good together. Yeah, it might click together, but it makes the whole puzzle kind of off, bro. And when people look at it, they know that whatever the puzzle is supposed to be of, whatever picture was supposed to be made through putting those pieces together, it's not going to look right because you like this one piece more than the other. So you went and put it here and this other one there. So now it's all kind of out of place. You know, in order for things to look right, you got to be able to put things where it needs to be in order for it all to come together. And right now, this Miami Heat team, they are a puzzle. So now you got to figure out where do you put this Tyler piece and where do you put this other pieces together in order for everything to come out right. And that's where him coming on the bench comes from. You know, you could try to put him in the starting lineup, have him belong in this part of the puzzle, but then everything else doesn't look right. Things still look a little off. So you put him on the bench, you know, what's it called? Click him with a Delon Wright, click him with that second unit, and click everything else together, and then boom, you got a nice, beautiful looking picture of a Larry O'Brien trophy, and it's gonna look beautiful when you see it. You might cry a little bit because you know it's your first time watching Jimmy complete that puzzle, but yeah. So aside from that, Alex, we were just chirping on this whole thing right now with the rotation because Duncan's been hooping like crazy, and he does not deserve to continue being on the bench because the dude plays out of his mind when he's in the starting lineup. But people want to act surprised when he's placed on the bench. So we've been talking about who should be out of the starting lineup if you put Duncan in. And so far, me and Kay have been agreeing on the idea that it should be a guy like Tyler. Is there any comments from your end on that?
What's up, y'all? I had a situation pop up, so that's why I was late. But yeah, so if anybody has listened to our past pods, they know exactly where I stand on this. And I stand with y'all in regards to it needing to be Tyler, and that's literally the perfect role for him. I heard Kay when I came in here comparing it to being in that Malik Monk role. And basically, like we've seen already, 2 seasons ago when we had the 1 seed, Tyler flourished as a 6th man. He won 6th man of the year. So you were the best guy coming off the bench in the league, averaging 20+ points a game. Like you still gonna get the same touches. You still gonna get the same opportunity to get up as many shots as you want. But I look at it as him being able to come off the bench in that space, that gives him an opportunity to go against reserves to find a rhythm against guys who he's probably better than. So find that rhythm, and then once it gets down to crunch time, now you're already in a groove and in a rhythm to play against the best guys who are going to be out there to end the basketball games. So I think for the benefit of the team, it should be Tyler. But for Tyler's ego, I think, honestly, coming back from All-Star break, I think they're going to try and keep Tyler in as one of the guards. I think they're going to try and keep Duncan in as one of the guards. And I think they're going to try and go to Terry Rozier since he's the new guy and be like, hey, you think you could possibly want to be 6th man? Which, like I said, I think is not the right thing to do. But I think that's what they're going to do to massage Tyler's ego.
I've thought about this, and not to go too deep because, as I said, I want to. I got a couple things going on, so I want to make sure we touch everything. But I've thought about that. I don't think they would do that, yo. I think they would tell Terry, you're cool. Tyler, you're cool. Duncan would be the 3, and Jimmy would be the 4, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Cause come on, bro. And not only that, but like we know Jimmy not even trying to play the 4-2. So it's like obviously he'll do whatever the team needs from him, but you know, I feel like it would just be wrong for us to try to put him in that type of position too. You know, just leave my guy Jimmy at the 3 and just stop trying to delay the inevitable. We've tried our very best to make this work, and you know, we're having a good rotation right now, and you know, we've been playing real good ever since Spo was able to put this together. But even then, like we're talking about for the greater good of this team, and that's being able to make the sacrifices needed. Just simply coming off the bench is all we're asking for. Just for until Jimmy retires. Who knows when he will? Probably in a couple years by now. All right. Like he's not gonna be in the NBA for like 40 years like UD. He'll probably leave, you know, maybe after this contract expires in a couple seasons, and then go open up a coffee shop or something. And then after that, Tyler can do whatever the heck he wants, assuming that we don't trade him for Donovan Mitchell after that. But with all of this being said, just simply take one for the team, all right? You're gonna get your rewards for making the sacrifices needed, all right? Whether if it's getting more minutes with us or getting to be a starter once Jimmy is gone or getting those types of opportunities in Cleveland, I don't know. but you will get those opportunities. You just got to be patient and let things slide for once. Let us go compete for that championship, and you will be rewarded for it. All right. So, all of this said, man, is there anything else y'all try to hit on before we talk about this new signing from the Heat? All right, let's get right into it. In case y'all ain't heard the news by now, about a couple, not even a couple hours actually, just a little over an hour after we started recording, the news came out about Delon Wright signing with the Miami Heat. To those who think the name sounds familiar, the reason why is because none other than there almost got the names mixed up. None other than what's his name? Delon Wright. You had his brother who also played for the Heat as well, and Darrell Wright. To those who don't know, he was part of that '06 championship team, and we kind of keeping it going full circle with Delon Wright being on the Heat too. I'm sorry, y'all.
Joe, get it right. Get it together. Jeez.
So, anyways, man, like I said, bro, I'm sure Tyler might be a little relieved. But also all of that other stuff aside, we feel a good need with this. We got another ball handler on this team. A guy who can play solid defense, in my opinion. I've seen enough footage for me to understand that. And then also you have the fact that he's 6'5", bro. I know a lot of people been stressing the size for this team, and you got a point guard that is 6'5", like that right there alone tells me everything I need to know, bro. I like this pickup for Miami. I think he's gonna give a guy like Jaylen Brown hell by the time the playoffs come around, and I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be watching every single second of it. So I just want to pass the mic to you guys. What do y'all think of this pickup? We'll start off with you, Kay.
I mean, I love it, man. You mentioned the size of 6'5". He's a big guard. Really love the physicality perspective that he's going to be able to bring just out front of the Miami Heat's defense. He's familiar with the Miami Heat do things, as you mentioned, his brother Darrell, which I said, flawlessly on the first chance, has been a part of the Miami Heat organization. So he knows how things are done. I think he's going to come in hungry. I think he's going to come in ready to play a role. And when you think about a guy like Jay Rich, who's going to be out for a while with the shoulder, when you think about, Terry just having to get back into the swing of things, you hope that he's ready after All-Star break, but who knows? Bringing in a guy like Delon is going to help this Miami Heat team massively, because when it comes to the playoffs and you need a guy to go out there and, get some stops, a guy like Delon is a guy who you could throw on Damian Lillard and say, hey, go stop him a couple times. He's a guy you could throw on Tyrese Maxey and say, hey, go give me some stops. He's a guy you could put on Tyrese Halliburton and be like, yo, you know what I mean? He's a guy you could put on, Jalen Brunson. I mean, especially on Jalen Brunson with the size mismatch. I mean, when you're thinking about all of these things that you might encounter on your way to a potential Larry O.B., Delon Wright is a certain positive move. And I mean, you just can't encourage you can't be, any more encouraged by the Miami Heat making use of, the back end of the transaction market after parting ways with Kyle Lowry than you are right now with them bringing in exactly what they need. Of course, it isn't another big, but they found a way to go get a guard. They found a way to go get more defense, and they found a way to do it by also bringing in a guy with size. So you love the move, man. You love the move. Championship type move.
Exactly. Alex, how about you? How are we feeling about Darrell Wright? Delon Wright. Oh my gosh.
It's all good. That's Darrell's little brother. But like I said, like we talked about a little bit before the pod, I absolutely love the move. He's a big combo guard, and honestly, he's a very, very almost elite, but very, very good point of attack defender, and he's a good playmaker as well. So there are going to be a bunch of different lineups that you can throw him out there for him to be able to guard the other team's best guard. Like Kay just named off a few guys that play the point guard or combo guard, and Delon is going to be able to go out there and give them fits. If we remember correctly, in the 2022 first round when he was with the Hawks, he gave Tyler everything that Tyler could handle.
That's true.
Literally made Tyler look kind of silly. So now having that in our back pocket, like And I mean, he can score the ball a little bit too. So he's not going to be a liability in regards to like how in that 2022 season, basically PJ Tucker couldn't even play late in games because teams just stopped guarding him and he wasn't even hitting shots anymore. Delon, you have to guard him because Delon can score. Delon can put the ball on the floor and get to the basket. He can create for other guys and he'll knock down an open shot. So I absolutely love it. It gives the Heat's guard rotation another actual guy who's comfortable at playing point guard, don't have to force Jaime or Jay Rich into that role. So it gives us a little bit more of an insurance, and I honestly do think he can help the rotation just like a Kevin Love did out of that buyout market last season.
100%. And when you look at this move for the Heat, like it gives me more confidence in the squad because you guys hit it right on the nose. I mean, Delon Wright, not only is he another guard you can add to our rotation, but he's a guy that's 6'5", and he's not the first 6'5" player on this team, but to have someone of that height, as your point guard, coming off the bench, that's a great move for Miami. And like we mentioned, he's the guy you can put on a Jaylen Brown, even a Jalen Brunson, like you guys mentioned. There's so many options out there that you have now with the guy like a Delon Wright. So overall, this was just a great pickup for the Heat. And I mean, is there anything else you guys want to comment on when looking at what this does for Miami moving forward?
No, man. Last thing I would say is just like, what else Miami preaches, multipleness. Like Eric Spoelstra, always says he's another guy that when you think about everything he can do on offense, as Alex mentioned, that you mentioned, Joel, shoot the ball, drive the ball, create for others, just play off ball, combo guard, be a lead guard, bring the ball up, get you in your sets or whatever. And then, of course, everything he could do on defense from guarding 1 through 3. You mentioned how he gave Tyler Fitz. I mean, just adds to the multipleness of this team, man, especially a team that we've already called one of the deepest. Exactly. That was crazy, but you know what I mean? So that's all.
Right. So, it's going to be fun, and we will talk about this team more and what lies ahead in a pod very soon, sometime next week, before that first game post All-Star break happens against New Orleans. So be on the lookout for that. We'll have more to talk about near the end of the pod regarding what you can expect from us as we get into All-Star break. But aside from that, man, I feel like we hit on a lot. Before we get into this final topic real quick, is there anything that y'all want to quickly mention? Because I do want to get into these All-Star weekend events real quick. So is there anything that we're missing out on that you guys want to touch on?
Nah, man. I would say we pretty much covered the most important stuff.
Say no, nothing I can think of right now.
All right. So I just want to make sure that we don't forget anything. So now it's time to get into All-Star Weekend. To those who don't know, let's see, tonight as we're recording this, Jaime Jaquez is in the Rising Stars Challenge. I think he's on Team PAL, which is a team of him, Chet Holmgren from OKC, and then Victor Wembanyama, already a super team. And I can't wait to see him recruit them guys to come to Miami. It's going to be great when we recreate 2010 with those three guys. Then you have, All-Star Saturday night. Speaking of Jaime, he's going to be in the main event. We're talking about the dunk contest. And I know people saw this and was like, at least the NBA fans, not like Heat fans specifically, they looked at this and they questioned it for a bit. They didn't know what a guy like Jaime can do. Obviously, the dunk contest looks a little interesting because you have a guy who, in Jaylen Brown, he's like the first All-Star to make the dunk contest in a few years now. I'm not really moved by him. I just think they reached out to him and it's like, hey, why not? They should have Duncan throw a lob to Jaime just to scare him. Then after that, you have, Mac McClung, the guy who won the dunk contest last year from the G League. He's there too, so I don't know. He might be the favorite to win it this year. They even went and got Obi Toppin's brother to join in on this too, I guess. So I guess now they're reaching out to siblings of some of the former dunk contest champions and being like, yo, you want to give this a try? So I ain't watched this game.
Joe, what the hell are you doing?
I'm sorry, bro. I do not watch these people's footage, all right? Jacob Toppin, Come on now. I don't be watching Westchester Knicks highlights during my free time. So, but shout outs to the NBA for wanting to give the G League guys more opportunities. So, good for them. But Jaime, I need you to go out there and cook because we know you're capable of it. Most of the highlights I've seen him dunking, like the ferocious ones, has been in that one clip that's went viral. I don't know the song name, but y'all know that little Latin song they got playing in the background while he does them dunks in high school and everything. So I don't know if he still got that in him as a 22-year-old man, but we'll find out real soon. Hopefully he does, because I'm trying to see him pull the upset on
I think he
Saturday.
recorded like a 38, 39-inch vert at the combine.
Okay. So
Sneaky
he does.
athletic.
Okay, so he has a chance. All right, because come on, Jacob Toppin. I mean, like I said, they reaching out to people's siblings now for this, man. Like,
Jacob Toppin got boing yoings too, though.
okay, I mean,
I ain't saying he a good ball player. I'm saying he could jump and dunk.
I know, but I know it's like I'm just kind of confused why all of a sudden. Because before I'm just surprised that they didn't reach out to Derrick Jones Jr. brother yet. I don't know if he even got a brother, but like, I'm sorry. Because they just now reaching out to anyone from the G.
I'm about to leave if you don't get serious. If you don't get serious, I'm leaving.
Hey, man, but overall, I do hope he can pull through with it. And then last but not least, Sunday night, we get to watch Bam Adebayo in the All-Star game. We don't know what the starting lineup is, but there is a good chance he might end up being the starter as a result of Joel Embiid's injury. So there is that too. Overall, what are you guys looking forward to this All-Star Saturday night? We'll pass the mic to you, Alex.
To be totally honest, I think hopefully, obviously, I hope Jaime can do very well in the dunk contest. But I think the event that might end up being the most exciting is Steph shooting against Sabrina Ionescu in that little WNBA NBA 3-point shootout. I think that's going to be really fun. But as you can see below my name for this weekend, I'm hoping that Bam one gets to start in that spot that Joel Embiid will be in, and then two, I'm hoping that he does what Anthony Davis did when they had the All-Star game. I think it was like in 2018 in New Orleans, and AD literally went out there and just ran the floor and dunked everything. And I think he scored like, did he score over 50?
I think so. Yeah, I think
I think he broke this. Yeah, I think he broke the scoring record in that game. I'm a try and do some research real quick when somebody else is talking, but yeah. So as you can see, I'm looking for Bam to try and go out there and get that All-Star MVP, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hey, aside from the Joker, there ain't a lot of bigs that can really try to contain him like that. And because we know Giannis, what's he going to do? We already saw a preview of what he can do again. Well, I keep forgetting that it's conference versus conference now, so never mind. But, if he can still dunk on Giannis for the one time, even though they teammates, that would be nice too. Because screw friendships at the end of the day. Anyways, and because mind you, this was the same guy that stole his best friend and kidnapped him to Milwaukee. He deserves to suffer. No offense, Giannis. Anyways, the mic is up to you, Kay. Well, what are you looking forward to this upcoming weekend?
Look, man, the All-Star game and everything is cool, but I like competitive basketball. And I'm not saying it's not fun and a great watch, but I'm going to just be betting and using it for background noise while I'm drinking. I hope Bam, get all the accolades. I hope Jaime win everything in. I hope every Celtics player ever loses everything that they're in. And I just hope everybody get out of the weekend healthy.
Amen. Amen to the Celtic losers.
Mm-hmm. Is Joe Cronin in the All-Star celebrity game? Because I'm trying to see him get crossed up.
No, they actually. I think last I heard of Joe Cronin, they were like missing posters posted of him off, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. I was kind of looking forward to. Hopefully, if we could get a game in Portland, we can see that. So I'm gonna keep my eye out.
You should put a call into his people. We might can get him on the pod.
Could you imagine that, bro? That's gonna be something else, man. Having him talk about eliminating all that emotion or whatever, bro. Anyways, aside from that, y'all, we talked so much on today's episode. Is there any final words y'all want to share with the people before we wrap this up?
So like I said, I was going to do a little quick research. So AD scored 52 in 2017, not 2018. But I didn't even remember that Jason Tatum broke that record last year and had 55.
Of course he did. The stat padding is
so hopefully Bam go ahead and go score 56.
Oh yeah, especially because it's breaking a Celtics player's record. You have to, so do it for the one time. But I don't know, because then Tatum's probably gonna try not to pass him the ball because he don't want him to break that record. But shout out to Tatum though, real quick, because he's the reason why now I got NBA League Pass for a whole year. So I can't say too much bad things about him because he went and scored me that. But aside from all of that, man, is there any final words or are we good to go? All right.
I'm good.
Okay, so with that being said, y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast. Even though it's All-Star Weekend and we might not have a game till like a week from now, we still going to keep the content going. Make sure to be on the lookout for a new Biscayne breakdown. We should hopefully have that out by Monday. Kay and Dean will talk about this past All-Star Weekend along with everything Miami Heat. And then also we're going to have another pod before All-Star break officially ends, so be on the lookout for that too. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, bro. We getting there. We already halfway to 1,000, man. Let's get the job done, and hopefully by the end of the season we can hit 1K. Aside from that, man, we got a good season ahead of us. You know, we got Delon Wright, the team looking good, and I honestly believe we might actually win a championship this year. That's why this name ain't changing now or never will it be. Until the end of the season, that's when we change it to 2025. So with that all being said, man, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast. Follow me on Twitter, JoelKJacob_. Follow K on Twitter at K_said_K. Make sure to follow Alex on Twitter at _CoachLewis1. And aside from that, y'all, hit my music because we out.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time with a brand new episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast.